skills are necessary for making decisions? Firstly, I think knowledge and experience. Okay, just experience is a generic term, so you don't need to have an S on the end. Or in this sense, you don't anyway. You could in other senses, but I think knowledge and experience are important. If people build up their experience based on knowledge, which is in their fields, it can help make decisions. Secondly, I'd like to say it's the ability to not to priority, but to prioritize. Okay. If people have ability that can set up their works in order of priority. What did I do there? Wrong thing. No, that's the right thing. Okay. It helps improve efficiency of work as well as making successful decisions. Okay, how can people improve their decision-making skills? First of all, asking friends, family, or colleagues. I'll say to help improve. Okay, so to help improve decision making. If some of them who have similar experiences, okay, I would just say if some of them have similar experiences. In this case, it might be all right. They can feedback you. Okay, they can give you feedback. Right. In addition, when you get a wrong decision, you don't have to beat yourself up. Instead, reflect on why it failed, and then write it down to make sure that you don't make the same mistake twice. Okay, very good. Right. How do you think computers will change the way people make decisions? I think that making decisions has been changed already by computers. These days, people can search their problem in the internet, on the internet, I think. And most people, most rely on searching. For example, people can seek trustworthy data and share their conflicts with other people who are in the same fields. If using a computer like this, decision-making ability will increase. You need the if on the front. Just using a computer like this. But the problem with the internet, and I think it's becoming more and more of a problem as time goes by, is exactly what you're saying there, is seeking trustworthy data. I mean, in my experience of using computers since what, I don't know, 1995 extensively, at that time, I think most of the stuff that you searched on the internet was actually, most of it, 80%, 90% was okay. It was good data, because I think most of the people who were using the internet at that time would have been universities, and they were sharing their data, or maybe newspapers or whatever, so it was fairly safe. I think the problem now, after almost 25 years, is that so many people have got access to the internet now that there's all sorts of junk data on the internet.
Yeah.
And some of it's easy to tell, but some of it's very well written, but you just don't know whether it's true or not.
Yeah.
And so more and more you see stories being, that newspapers get hold of a story, and even they haven't checked the story properly either. And so everybody's recycling junk news or fake news, as Donald Trump likes to talk about fake news. And actually, he's right. There is an awful lot of fake news out there.
Yeah.
There was part of the CIA back in the 1970s, I think 1970s, and the head of the CIA at that time said that he would only be satisfied when most people believed, or the stories that most people believed were lies, because basically they just want to confuse people. What they want is people to not believe what's on the internet or what's available as news, because then people just give up. They'll just do what they're told. Whereas if people still think they can find the truth, they'll keep on fighting to, keep on struggling on, thinking there's a better way. But if they just think everything I read is junk, then they just give up. And I think we're getting close to that point now where that's actually the case.
Yeah.
Right, okay. Do parents in your country allow their children to make important decisions about their future? In Korea, it really depends on parents. Okay, I would say that, yeah, it depends on the parents. But here, I would say just some parents. Some parents let their children down to make a decision themselves. Well, if you say you let your children down, it means that you failed your children. You failed to guide them. So some parents let their children make a decision themselves, and they only give some advice if they wish. When you say they, you mean the children.
Yeah.
But others interfere too much in their children's lives. For example, they want their children to be, okay, then I think it's probably singular here, their child. They want their child to be a doctor or a lawyer, so they force their children to be like that. Jobs. Although the children don't want to be. The children don't want it. Don't want to. Okay. In my opinion, discipline their children to make a decision is important to live their lives on their own. Discipline their children. What, in my opinion, discipline their children to make a decision is important to live their lives on their own. Okay, I get the last bit. I think maybe disciplining their children to make decisions is important to live their lives on their own. I think that works. Do you think that parents should make important? Do you think that parents should make important decisions for their children? No, I don't think that parents should make important decisions for their children. Some decision making should be helped by their parents, because children are not are not enough to make a decision, are not, what do you mean by enough? Are not experienced enough or knowledgeable enough? Maybe knowledgeable. To make decisions. And they have limitation to judge which is correct or not. But just give an idea and make them doing like that is harmful to development. That's wrong. Development. So parents should help them to make decisions through giving advice with their experience. All right. I mean, your answers are the ideas behind them are very good. It's just that there's just a little bit of detail in constructing the sentences, but it's not. It's close. It's very close. Right. Okay. So, have you got any other questions on those part threes? Any of the changes that I've made in there?
No.
Why don't you have any questions? All clear?
Yes, I think.
All right. Okay. Let's move on then. Right. Let's have a look at the. All right. So we started the part one question. So, what was your major? I majored in nursing science, and I've worked for over 6 years as a nurse in an ICU. Why did you choose this major? To be honest, I really didn't interested. Okay, I really wasn't interested.
Oh.
Wasn't interested in nursing, but when I was in high school, a friend of mine recommended me and entered the university. Hang on, let's just check that. Okay, so I really wasn't. When I was in high school, a friend of mine recommended me. To me, and we entered the university together. Do you like reading? Honestly, I don't like reading books, but these days I try to read books in English to improve my language skills. What books have you read recently? I read a book which is called Fantastic Beasts, written by J.K. Rowling. Lately, actually, I've known that through watching the movie the first time. And then I wanted to read through the book, so I bought an original version book. Okay, what are the advantages of ebooks over paper books? I think that ebooks, okay, ebooks are, because it's plural. Really convenient because you don't have to carry paper books, which are quite heavy. So you can read books anytime, anywhere you want to read, only with your smartphone. Okay. Do you usually see your friends during the week or at weekends? I prefer, well, I either to meet up with my friends, either to meet up or I prefer meeting up.
Yeah.
Meeting up, but then it's with my friends. So that's what I was talking about with the gerunds. Yeah. that link I've just sent you. On weekends like Friday or Saturday, because I work or study during the weekdays, and on Sunday I prefer to relax at home to prepare. Working next day to prepare for. Okay, the last time you saw your friends, what did you do together? It was a few days ago. A friend of mine wanted to go to a nice dinner, which is placed in whatever that is, Itaewon.
Yes.
Was that correct, or did I make a mess of that?
Yeah, it's right. Correct.
Close enough. Okay, right. So we went. Okay, so we went there and had a nice dinner. After then, we went to the music library. Which can listen to, which. We can listen to music through vinyl records. All right. Instead of after then, after I would say after which. Right, in what ways are your friends important to you? Firstly, I think that friends are especially important during times of crisis and turbulence. They can give me encouragement and support. Secondly, keeping me active. I'll be more likely to get out and start doing things rather than spending a solitary life. Very good answer. So how do you get on with the writing exam? What's your score in writing? It should be very good because your writing's pretty good.
5.5.
Why is it 5.5? It should be higher than that.
I did off topic on
Ah, right. Yeah. Well, I think if you stayed on topic, and if you wrote the required number of words, I think you should be getting at least 6.5, if not 7, with your writing.
Sometimes I forgot many words.
Right. I mean, you have to get the word count. You've got to get if every time they write the question in IELTS writing, it always says write at least 150 words for task 1 and write at least 250 words for task 2, and that's exactly what they mean. If you write 149 words,
Mm-hmm.
you will lose half a level in your score.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And same for task 2. So you've got to write. I would always say write maybe 10% over. So write like 165 words or 175 words, and then you'll have achieved the task. So it's a very simple way to lose a lot of marks, is just by not writing enough in your essay. And a lot of people overlook it. They might write a very good essay, but if they've not met the word requirement, then they're going to lose half a level. That's an awful lot of of a level to lose, just because of not writing enough words.
Yeah.
And every word that's incorrect. So if you get spelling mistakes, that word doesn't count towards the total.
Yeah.
So if you wrote 151 words, but you had 3 spelling mistakes, you'd be down to 148 words, and again you wouldn't have met the word requirement. So that's why I always say write 10% more, and even with a few spelling mistakes, you should be okay.
Yeah.
It'll make a big difference. If you do that, your score will jump by a lot.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Any other questions on that part, those part 1 questions, or is that all okay? All right. Okay. So let's move on to part 2. Right. Describe a situation when you got a little angry. Okay. So I'm going to talk about a senior nurse in my working place. I am a nurse and work in a hospital. There is a senior nurse who always makes.
Ah.
Other nurses get annoyed. At the first time when I met her, I thought she was nice. As time goes by, well, as time went by, I think, because it's past tense, isn't it?
Yes.
More and more junior nurses are in trouble, were in trouble.
Mm.
With her, and they, well, see, this is the thing, I'm going to be changing the tenses all the way through this now. And they talked to me about her. It's about bullying. It's about bullying, for example. She sometimes kicked them off. What do you mean,
Yes.
kicked them off? Kicked
Kick.
sounds literally kicked them.
Yes.
She kicked the other nurses with her foot.
Yes.
Dear God. Right. Okay. Wow. Okay. So I don't need the kicked them. I don't need the off. Just kicked them, I think. So she sometimes kicked them slightly. Sometimes kicked them. Okay. I would say probably lightly rather than slightly. She sometimes kicked them lightly and scolded them seriously. With no reason, for no reason. I mean, what a bully. But she didn't do like that behavior to me. Okay, she didn't. Yeah, you don't need the like. She didn't do that behavior to me. Honestly, I usually don't get angry, and I always try to understand somebody or something. But the biggest event, what I started. Oh, okay. The biggest event, what I started to hate her was with. No, okay. So the biggest event. Not what that. I started to hate her was with narcotic medications count. We must do that count every single day and every shift. One day one of the narcotics disappeared, so I asked her what happened with that. She asserted herself. She counted rightly, not rightly, correctly. And someone stole that and stole it. But in the end, okay, but the end, in the end, and revealed she, okay. I thought she was a drug addict. I thought that was going to be the story. Okay, but in the end, the event, okay, the event revealed. Okay, rather than counted wrongly, let's say miscounted.
Mm.
she always acts like that and sometimes fights patients or their family members because she spits something out rudely. She seems like she doesn't have responsibility. I really don't like people like her. It's quite stressful when I work with her, but nothing changed. She still works with us because we always struggle with a lack of nurses. Okay, all right. Tough story. Okay. Okay, it's good. It's yeah. Have you? Oh, you did. You've timed yourself, and it was 1:57. Is that right? I see the count at the bottom. Very. So, how did you time yourself? Was that from the video, or was that from you tried it again?
Sorry?
Did you record? Did you record the time from the video?
Not the video, just stopwatch.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's very good. Good story. And it sounds like it's a very real story. You know, a lot of my Korean nursing students, they try to just have 5 stories that they can, well, just like 5 stories that they practice again and again and again so that they can recite them, and they just change them to suit the question. So whatever the question that comes up, they've got five stories that they rely on. And it's not going to work. And I always tell them, you've got to stop doing that. It's much better to actually work with the question that you're given rather than just trying to recite a story and hope that the examiner will fall for it. Because I had one this morning and she did the same thing. And I said, well, it's pretty good. I said, you finished exactly on 2 minutes. And I said, is that a story that you've done many times before? And she said, oh, yes. I said, okay, you've got to stop doing it then.
I think who is she? Maybe I know.
A lot of you know, I've been teaching Korean students, not all of them nurses, but I've been teaching Korean students for a long time,
Yeah.
and I get the impression that if you go to the academies, that sometimes the academies say you should have so many stories and you should learn the stories so you can just recite them.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a big mistake, and the academies should stop doing it. They really should stop doing it. They should stop telling their students to do that, because the IELTS examiners are trained to listen for recite. And if they think it's a recited story, when it comes to part 3, they're going to get a really tough time in part 3. So you know, and this is where I think IELTS is a good test of people's level of English. You know, so the other one that's famous in the other exam that's famous in Korea is TOEIC. If you're going to, I think if you're going to America, isn't it TOEIC?
TOEIC, TOEFL.
Yeah. Or TOEFL. Oh, okay. I've heard of TOEIC as well, but I think they're both American exams. TOEIC and TOEFL are both American exams. And people can learn things for TOEIC and TOEFL because there isn't the follow-up where you have a discussion with the examiner. So if you learn to recite something quite well and the right subject comes up and you manage to change it just a little bit so it fits, then you can pass the exam with the American exams. But with IELTS you won't, because the examiner will give you a harder time in part 3 because they'll know. And it's like with this one this morning. It's just, you know, I could tell from she finished perfectly on 2 minutes, and but it was the tone of her voice. Really, it was the tone of the voice. I could tell that she was sort of remembering what she'd said some time before. So you'd have to be an actress to get away with it. If you're not an actress, you won't get away with it. But no, I think it's better anyway. I think it's better to give just to learn how to answer the question. If you've got the strategies to answer the question, there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to do it. And also, what's really good about yours here is that it's a true story.
Yeah.
if what you're trying to do is to adapt you've got 5 stories and you're just trying to adapt them, all you're doing there is trying to recall the story. You're just trying to remember the story. But if you're telling a true story, storytelling is a very good way to actually deliver the information. Because if you're telling a story, it develops naturally, and that gives you the sort of the flow and everything else to actually present it well. So
Yeah.
no, this is a very good story to tell. So
Yeah. Well,
right.
I just hope I can speak this without practice.
Yeah, well, that's it. You've then got to be good at that as well. Yeah, it's true. Okay, right. So we obviously haven't done these questions here, part 3 questions. So this is the first time, right? Okay, so that was about a time when you got angry. So obviously these are on a similar topic. So how do you control your anger?
Firstly, I think the best way to control my anger to me is taking a nap if it's possible, because after taking a nap I can thinking about my problem very carefully and I can control my anger. So it's going to solve the problem easily.
Okay.
Second one is just trying to understand that something happened to me. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, I didn't get your answer to the second one because the connection broke down and the picture froze. What was it? So just give you a brief on what was the second way of controlling your anger.
I just tried to understand that something happened to me.
Okay. All right. I would say that one should be your first. But trying to I would say that first I would try to understand the other person's point of view. If I'm like if you're dealing with a patient or the family of a patient and there's some reason why there's a miscommunication, perhaps that's usually why people get angry.
Yeah.
So I think the first thing you've got to do is to try and understand what the other person is saying or what their story is. Why are they getting angry? They may well be wrong, but it's only by listening to what they have to say that you can actually then answer and maybe let them know. But what really this is, you're saying that you would the first thing that you would do is take a nap.
Yes, both
Which
are.
which I think if you're in the middle of a discussion with somebody and you say, oh wait a minute, I'm just going to take a nap and I'll be back in 10 minutes. I think that's
So I said if it's possible.
okay. Okay, but if you, I mean people, I mean anger. I think anger is a usually it's a very quick response to something.
Yeah.
It's you can have anger that builds up over a long time, but usually you're in a situation where you're dealing with somebody and you don't understand them or they don't understand you, or you can see that somebody's doing something wrong, and maybe you try to say something and they ignore you, and then you get angry about it. So you, at that point, you can't really say, I'm just going to take a nap and I'll be back in half an hour's time. Normally, you've got to deal with it. So how do you stop yourself getting angry in the heat of the moment?
I just listen them.
Listen to them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
But they might be demanding an answer from you. So yes, absolutely, you've got to listen to them and understand them first. But really, and I think that's the best way is to actually to stop other people getting angry. For yourself, that might not be, they might completely misunderstand, or they might be totally wrong, and you might be getting more and more angry because they're just stupid people. I mean, there are a lot of stupid people in the world, and there's no dealing with stupidity. Other than trying to understand why they've got their situation wrong. But listening to them, I would say that I mean what we would say in England is to take a deep breath.
Yeah.
Count to 10.
Count to 10?
Yeah, because if you answer if you answer immediately, you're probably going to say something angry, okay, and then they're going to get more angry, and the situation gets out of control. But if you take a deep breath and you count to 10 and you let them speak, while you're listening to them, you can try and understand them, and if you can understand them, maybe then you can, while you're counting to 10, you can control your anger. So I would say that would be how to answer the question.
Okay. Listen.
All right. Okay. So why do some people get angry easily?
I think some people get angry easily because of their individual upbringing environment.
Yes.
Because environment can affect on personality.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, but as a nurse, there are some medical conditions which mean that people can get angry easily as well. Can you think of a medical condition that somebody might have, a chronic condition that makes them get angry easily?
Chronic condition?
Mm.
Illness or just hormonal sick?
Oh, you're a nurse. You tell me. Okay, I'll give you two things. I'll give you two things because they're interconnected. One is stress.
Yes.
If someone's living with long-term stress, they could get angry quite easily. And stress quite often leads to high blood pressure, or reversal, or one leads. It's like a vicious cycle. If you've got stress, you're likely to have high blood pressure, and if you've got high blood pressure, you're quite likely to suffer from stress. So hypertension, high blood pressure, does lead to people getting angry easily.
Does or doesn't?
It does. Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Yes, I think so.
Okay, so again, as often with these questions, use your nursing, your medical knowledge. There's a lot of these questions here you could actually answer with medical knowledge.
Yeah, I want to, but it's quite difficult to explain in nursing because there are many medical terms. And if the examiner won't understand medical terms.
No, probably no. If you're using but then how use the sort of terminology that you would use when you're speaking to a patient. Like layman's language. Layman's language. So obviously, if you're talking to the doctor, you use medical terminology, and then the patient sits there not having any idea what you're talking about, and then you can explain it to the patient. So treat the examiner using the same kind of language.
Okay, right.
Oh, the cat's complaining now.
Yeah, he wants to play with me.
So, if you found this IELTS class useful, informative, or entertaining, please give it a like, subscribe, and share with other people who you think might benefit from these live IELTS class videos using actual examination topics. Most of the students participating in these classes are now living their dream in English-speaking countries around the world. If you want classes with me, you can contact me on X, LinkedIn, MS Teams, or Viber. Details are given in the description below or on the About page for this channel. Thank you.